first on 5 and new at noon. For the first time, we are hearing the 911 call in the death of Dericka Lindsay in Northwest Florida. Investigators say her 320-pound cousin, Veronica Posey, sat on her as a form of punishment. Here's a portion of that call that Posey made to 911.
We have a 10-year-old who is either faking it or is not breathing right now. She's been had a knife, gonna cut her uncle and aunt, talking to them, being disrespectful. And I came over here to correct her, and she was fighting against us. And I had her sit in a chair, and she was barking and stuff and didn't want to move. So when I released her, I told her to get up. She wouldn't get up.
Later in the call, the dispatcher asks if Posey sat on the child. She says no. Posey is charged with murder.
9-year-old Dericka Chavonne Lindsay was a bright and engaging child that brought joy to the lives around her. This did not seem to extend to her foster parents, James and Grace Smith, an older couple who were constantly finding fault with Dericka and her younger sister. One night, Veronica Posey, a cousin of Grace, received a call saying that the couple was having trouble disciplining Dericka and that she had threatened them with a knife. Posey got out of bed and drove to the Smiths' home, where she helped to physically restrain Dericka by sitting on her. The girl panicked and said she couldn't breathe, but Posey stayed in that position for over 6 minutes. By the time she moved, Dericka was unresponsive.
Do you need the bathroom or anything? I know I checked on you before, but before we talk, you want to use the restroom or anything?
Not right now.
Okay, you need any water or anything?
No, I just want
Okay.
to. I just want to. Oh, it's so sad.
You just want to get it over with?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, before we can start talking, I'm going to read this to you.
Okay.
If you have any questions, I want you to stop and ask me, and we'll go over it, okay? Let's see. It's about 5 o'clock. All right, Veronica, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can be used as evidence against you in court. You have the right to have a lawyer present while being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer will be appointed for you without cost before questioning. If you wish to answer questions now without a lawyer present, you will still have the right to stop answering questions at any time. This says I've read the statement of my rights shown above, and I understand what my rights are. No promises or threats have been made to me, and no pressure of any kind has been used against me. If you don't have any questions and you agree to this, if I can get you to print your name and sign right there, and then we can start talking.
Okay.
All right, Miss Posey. Let me get your information first because I don't have it. I know they probably got it from you already, but I want to have it too.
Okay.
What's your middle name?
I don't have one, but I use G for my maiden name, which is Green.
Green. Is it green with an N-E or is it
It's
just the
N.
color? Okay.
And then Posey.
And what's your birthday?
12/2/1952.
And where do you live?
Here in Pensacola, 3705 West Avery Street.
And what's a good number for you?
207-850-207-3115.
3115?
Yes.
Do you work anywhere?
I'm retired from Controller's office. Medically.
From what?
I retired medically from the Controller's office.
Oh, okay.
When Joe Falwell was there, I was a key punch operator.
Oh, okay. How long did you do that?
About 15 years.
When did you retire?
May 1995.
Okay, so you've been
Wow.
retired for a while.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, I know that you are Chavonne's, and we call her Chavonne, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You are Chavonne's, I guess.
Second cousin.
Okay, so second cousin. Is that a biological relationship or?
Dericka referred to in the video as Chavonne, was 9 years old. Her foster parents are the ones related to Posey, which explains the large age gap.
Yes.
Okay.
Her father is my first cousin.
And her father's name is what?
Derrick.
Derek?
Yes, Derrick.
What's his last name?
Lindsay.
Derek Lindsay. Okay.
And his mother is my father's sister. So it's biological.
Okay. All right. And then you are Grace's sister?
Niece.
Niece. Okay. All right. So I guess Grace, did she call you today, or
Yeah,
how
she
did you
did.
end up over at the house?
I was at home in the bed, sleeping, because my great-granddaughter was coming over at 2 o'clock, because her mother and her boyfriend were going to Tallahassee to a show.
Okay.
And so Grace woke me up with the telephone.
What time was that?
I'll say about 12,
Okay.
12-ish, I don't know. Wait a minute. About 11:30, because I was taking my time getting there.
Mm-hmm.
And she called and she said, Veronica, I need you to come over here. Chavonne is cutting up.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I need you to help me hold her. She's running, she won't let me whoop her. See, when I come, it's a whole nother atmosphere with the kids.
Okay.
And I said, okay, I'll be there in 20 minutes or so. So I probably got there about 12:15, something like that.
Okay.
Because I took my time. I hadn't ate breakfast or anything, and I take a lot of medication. So I ate a cup of Jell-O and a banana muffin as I drove over there. That's how I got there. She called me.
Okay.
Oh, now you want me to continue what happened?
Yeah, just kind
Okay.
of, just walk me through it.
And so I knew Chavonne was going to cut up. So I had one of those broken wood rulers, yardsticks.
Okay.
And I had a little light pipe that just to keep the ruler from breaking, or it would put a little weight to it.
Okay.
And,
So is it taped onto the ruler?
No,
Or?
it was just on my hand.
Oh, okay. So you just kind of put them together.
Yeah, and hit her with the ruler. And so when I got there, we was trying to constrain her for Grace to whoop her because she wanted to whoop her.
Mm-hmm.
But she was cutting up. She was acting something terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And
What was she doing?
fighting against us, bucking, saying what she wasn't going to do, and this wasn't true, and, just being defiant.
Mm-hmm.
Those who knew Dericka said she was an average 9-year-old and was not known to cause trouble outside what would be normal for a child her age.
So normally when I go there, I haven't been over there in a while because I told my aunt, I said, look, I end up in jail behind these kids because they're out of control. So I hadn't been over there in about a month or so.
Mm-hmm.
Because after the state called me, and I had them for about a week to give my aunt a release because Chavonne had been cutting up so bad with them over there. I had her and Rachel both. They don't give me no problems. They're good kids, but at home, they're holy terrors.
Mm-hmm.
And I told my aunt, I said, you know what? They know James has a disability. He has short-term memory. And you need to get your hand taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to be codependent on them. And they can stop acting like they grown and run the house. I said, so it's best for me to stay home. Because they were very manipulative.
Mm-hmm.
But I loved them.
Mm-hmm.
And they loved me. Matter of fact, they came by the house Saturday night with Grace to get some clothes while I had them that week. And
So you just had them within the last week or two?
no, it's been in the early part of the summer, I think.
Okay.
Or maybe it was in the summer. For a week I had them.
Okay.
Because they had walked away from home. And Grace didn't know where they were. And she had called a social worker to come get them. And they didn't have placement for them at that time. So just to give them a break and get them out the house, they called me and asked me to come get them. Because they knew that I would, you know, be good to them. And they don't give me no problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's just when they get home. But all of a sudden, Chavonne, from what I could hear from my aunt, was defiant everywhere she went. Stealing from the school, getting disrespectful with the principal, and they was telling me she talked to the beautician like she was a dog yesterday. And I told Chavonne when she was over there Friday night, I said, baby, check your attitude. Your attitude stink. You need to check it. Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. It's always yes, ma'am, and no, ma'am to me. They don't get disrespectful for me. Because I told them, I said, I'm going to spank you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to run over me. You're not going to talk to me no any way, kind of way. You're only 8 and 9 years old. You got to respect your elders. I said, because you know James and Grace are handicapped. And you are taking advantage of it. And so when she called me, like I said, I ate a banana muffin and Jello and took my medication. And I went over there. So they tried to open the front door, but they couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Because Chavonne had put a knife in the door to try to get out. They said the night before. Because my aunt told her she was going to whoop her behind. Because she was threatening them. And so I said, okay, don't worry about it. I'll walk around to the back door, open the back door. So Grace opened the back door and I went into the house. And of course, hey, cousin Veronica, how you doing? Blah, 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 blah. I said, Chavonne, I said, Grace told me she got ready to whoop you and you ran again. I said, what I tell you about running away from James and Grace? I told you have to respect them. They take care of you. They buy you clothes. You get the best of the best. And yet you talk to them like they're nothing. And Grace said, well, she had a knife. She was going to cut her. She had a hammer. I said, Chavonne, what's wrong with you? Lost your mind or something? I said, the minute I walk in the door, are you in my presence? It's yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, and everything is okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I proceeded to try to restrain her for Grace to hold her. But of course, I've had 2 back surgeries and a rotary cup surgery a year ago. So I asked James, I said, James, help me restrain her for Grace to whoop her. So Grace hit her with the belt about, I don't know, maybe 10 licks or something like that.
Now, was James there?
Yes.
So James was helping you
Restrain her.
restrain her.
Yeah. And so we released her. I said, now, Chavonne, you've been over here. Grace and James was there, and they was telling me what she had done.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, she took a knife when Grace locked the door last night so she could unlock the door to get out so she wouldn't get a whooping.
Okay.
And part of the knife is stuck in the lock. Then Grace was telling me about the knife and the hammer.
This behavior is inconsistent with how Dericka interacted with anyone else, and it is likely that Posey is embellishing or lying to make her punishment seem more justifiable. I just released another extremely intense interrogation on my Patreon, this time about a son of a millionaire being interrogated for the death of his father. His trial was the longest and most expensive trial in the history of St. John. Watch it right now at patreon.com/Stranger Stories Plus.
And James was talking about how she was talking back at him and how she had got into Grace's face, and she's been really abusive. And this is not the first time, but this is the first time it's been this terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, Chavonne, later on, I'm going to whoop your butt. So I had the little ruler with the little light pipe on it in my hand, not take together nothing. And I was whooping her on her butt, because I like butt. I don't like legs, and I hit you on the butt. And she started bucking and fighting and running and stuff, and we were trying to restrain her. And she was jumping across the couch, just like, I'm the boss here.
Mm-hmm.
You have no control here. So I said, okay. So I said, Chavonne, I called her by the shirt, and we were at the chair. And I said, sit down. And she wouldn't sit down. She was bucking and rolling and everything. So I said, okay, Chavonne, get on your knees. Because she was in front of the chair, like holding on the wall to keep from sitting down.
Okay.
So I said, get down on your knees, Chavonne. Just fall on your knees. And when she went down on her knees, I had an opportunity to restrain her. And I sat on her to try to restrain her. And she kept kicking and bucking against the wall. And she said, Cousin Veronica, I can't breathe. I said, oh, Chavonne, you playing? Yes, you can.
Posey doesn't tell the detective that she sat on the child. Posey weighs 320 pounds.
I said, you have room to raise your head, and I'm not on your whole upper part. I'm just sitting on the rear end of you. Mm-hmm. You got room? So she said, I can't breathe. So I sit there for a moment, and she stopped bucking. So I said, I got up. I said, Chavonne, get up. I thought she was playing. I said, Chavonne, get up. She didn't move. I said, Chavonne, get up. I said, stop playing. You're not going to get another weapon, get up. And she didn't move. So then I asked Grace, do you have some ammonia? Because I put it under her nose if the heat had got to her or something in the midst of struggling, to bring her back. And she said, no, she had vinegar. I put some vinegar on a paper towel. She didn't move. So I asked for a bottle of water. Then I poured some on the back of her neck. She still didn't move. So I started feeling for a pulse. Mm-hmm. I said, y'all help, because I couldn't pick her up. She's too heavy. Mm-hmm. And so I said, y'all help me. We tried to pick her up from the chair. I said, Grace, we need to call 911. I'm not getting up. I didn't get nothing. I said, we need to call 911. And her phone was right behind me, so I called 911. And so the operator told us to turn her over. So me and James and Grace, we turned her over on the floor, and then he told me how to do chest compressions. But she didn't come around. And that's what happened.
Okay.
It wasn't intentionally. I loved him and they loved me. Mm-hmm. But they would give me a respect that they wouldn't give my aunt and uncle. Mm-hmm. You could take them anywhere normally and they'd do fine. But at home, they were destructive. They just were like animals. But I would go over there and sit and talk to them. And sometimes we would go riding and ice cream, I'd pick them up from the beauty shop and take them home. Just keeping it, talk to them about respect and doing good in school and Chavonne about her attitude and her mouth, and baby, you only 9 years old. You can't do what you do. I said, Grace, what are you going to do if she's 12? She's just 9. And that's what happened.
Okay. Well, so there's a couple things that I want to go back and talk a little bit more about, okay? First of all, I know that you're hearing this information from Grace, but
Yeah.
when did they say that this stuff happened with the knife and the hammer?
The night before and during the morning, the earlier part of today, I think.
Okay, so it's something that happened last night and kind of continued over until
Yes,
this morning?
yes.
Okay, did Grace ever tell you exactly what happened with the knife and the hammer?
She told me Chavonne tried to cut her with the knife.
Okay.
And I can't remember what Jane said something about the knife too.
Okay.
But I can't remember what his part was about the knife.
Okay. So when you got there, you went in the back door, and how long were you there before you started
Anything happened.
trying to discipline her?
I walked in the door and I was talking to him.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe 15 or 20 minutes.
Okay, so you were trying to talk some sense into her,
Yeah.
and what was she doing?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Like she always does when I talk to her.
Okay.
But the minute James or Grace say something, that's not true. I didn't do that, and you this. I said, they're lying, Chavonne. They take care of you, baby.
As horrible as it is to contemplate, there are some people who lie about the behavior of children in their care so they can physically discipline them. During the autopsy, medical examiners found multiple signs of overly harsh treatment.
So how did it go from she's being respectful to you to spanking her? How did it get to that point where we can't talk anymore? Now it's got to be
Well, we
discipline.
were restraining her for Grace because Grace was the one that was punishing her.
Okay.
And she was bucking against Grace, and she refused to cooperate with Grace to get the whooping Grace was going to give her. I say whooping, a little light belt.
So what was the punishment for? What was the whooping going to be for?
Grace was getting on her about talking to her so disrespectful, about the knife, about the tip of the knife in the doorknob, and I think the hammer. I don't,
Okay.
I
But
wasn't.
it was kind of for everything.
It was for everything.
And that was the punishment that she was going to carry out.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said it was a belt?
Yes.
And where did the belt come from?
It's Grace's.
Okay. And where was Grace?
Standing at the end of the couch.
Which couch? The one with the plastic or the red couch?
The red couch.
Okay. So Chavonne, was she on the couch or was she standing?
When I told her to lay down so Grace could whoop her,
Okay.
she was laying down. But in the process of Grace hitting her, she jumped up and she started kicking and bucking and refusing the punishment Grace was giving.
Okay.
So then, that's when I stepped in. I had spoken to her about getting expelled from school. And prior to, there's an enormous amount of money that Chavonne has taken from her aunt in jury and
Right. She told me about that.
all of that stuff. And so I had told her, I said, Chavonne, when I see you, I'm going to beat your butt. You know better to get expelled from school. Why did you take school property, remove the serial numbers, and then take it back to school? And then when the principal tried to talk to you, I understand you got plenty of attitude. Because I asked Grace, I said, Grace, let me go with her. I don't want to say a word. I just want to sit in the room and check her attitude. Because she would correct it if I'm sitting there. I don't have to say a word. But just the idea I'm in the room, it's going to be a whole nother attitude. Really.
Okay.
And so I said, I told you I was going to get you for that. I said, y'all hadn't seen me for a long time. Number one, I've been at home with kidney stones the last, like, 6 weeks or so. I've been sick myself. And then I said, I stayed away because I'm not going to jail behind no children. And the way you approach them is just disrespectful. And so when I saw them that Friday night or Thursday night, Grace was telling me that she had just had the room downstairs fixed, had the ceiling fixed and the walls painted and all the mildew and mold removed. And that Chavonne and Rachel had gone down there and threw her seasonings all over the floor and stuff. I said, well, I'm going to put it this way to y'all. I said, I love y'all and y'all know I love you. I said, but when I come out there in the next day or two, I said, y'all better have that stuff off that floor down in the lower room. And her being expelled from school and she and Rachel cleaning up the mess from the lower room is what our
The teacher did not report any problems with Dericka.
situation was. And then the way she was bucking, and when they talked, she cuts them off and stuff. And I wasn't brought up like that. Even when 2 or 3 people talking, I get quiet. Because it's annoying to me for everybody to talk at the same time. And so it was just like that. No, you this and that. It wasn't nothing like that. I can't explain it.
Well, so Grace is whipping her with the belt.
Yes.
She's connecting with her
With the belt.
with the belt. Okay. And Chavonne's kind of bucking, trying to get away.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you ended up taking, did you take the belt or did
No,
you use your ruler?
I used the ruler.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to use the belt or anything. I just wanted to use the ruler to let her know I meant business.
Okay.
And
So did Grace stop what she was
Yes.
doing?
Yes.
Did you just kind of say, let me take care of this, or how did that happen?
When she started bucking and running, Grace stopped. I said, leave her alone, I got this. And that's when I began to spank her.
Okay. With the ruler.
With the ruler.
Okay. How many times do you think that you hit her with that ruler?
It may have been 7, 8 times, something like that. I don't
Okay.
remember.
And this is still the ruler with the pipe on the back end of it to keep the ruler from breaking?
Yeah, but
Okay.
the ruler broke.
Oh, the ruler broke.
It broke,
Okay.
yeah. And so that ended, and when the ruler broke, that's when she broke away and started running.
Okay.
And we were trying to contain her.
The description given by Posey is more that of a child trying to avoid pain rather than misbehaving.
And she had gotten away and ran around the couch, and then James blocked her. When he blocked her, I caught the back of the shirt, and that's when when she bent over towards the wall, over the chair. And that's how she got down on her knees.
Okay. So she was on that chair. It's just a little one-person chair
Yeah.
with a plastic covering on it?
Yes.
Okay, so she was, let's say this is that chair. Would it be fair to say that she got in the chair and she was like this?
No.
No? Okay.
She was standing, leaning up against the chair. Yes.
Okay, so let's say it's exactly against the wall like that chair was.
It's not exact.
Is that about right?
That's about right.
Okay. So she's kind of like this, maybe?
over the top of the chair.
Did she have her knees in the chair?
No, she was standing up.
So she was just standing and she's trying to brace herself against the wall, maybe?
To get away, yes.
Okay.
And I said, okay, Chavonne, you can't go nowhere. I said, drop to your knees. She said, I can't. I said, yes, you can. I said, drop to your knees.
Okay.
And she did.
So when she dropped to her knees, did her knees go onto the chair? Or did they go onto the floor?
I think they went to the floor. I
Okay.
can't remember. Because she kept saying, I can't. I said, yes, you can. Yes, you can. And when I said, drop to the floor, and she thought she wasn't going no further, I can't remember if her knee going into the chair. I don't remember. All I know is that she went down on her knees.
Okay, so you kind of think she was on the floor at that point with her knees, like maybe this. She dropped to her knees.
Yes.
Why couldn't she get on her knees? Why was she saying she couldn't get on her knees?
She didn't want to.
She just didn't want to?
She didn't want to get on her knees.
Did you guys force her down onto her knees? Did you guys maybe kick her feet out from under her or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
No, none of that. But the thing is that there's a pole. I don't know what you call them.
Like a column?
A column.
Okay.
Right in front of that chair.
Mm-hmm.
So she was kicking against the column and raising up and I couldn't get a grip on her. You know, to calm her down.
So would the column be here or would the column be here? Because I haven't been in the house, so I don't know.
It would be in front of the chair.
Okay, so it would. So this is the chair. Let's
Yes.
just say this is the chair. So it's going to be somewhere here.
Yes.
Okay, so she was sort of using the column to
Kick and
Okay.
push her body. That's one reason why she didn't kneel in the chair, I don't think, because she was pushing against the wall.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
So maybe
'Cause
she was kind of like suspended in the air a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay.
From the back of the chair. She wasn't on the wall. She was holding on to the back of the chair.
Uh huh.
And that's what happened.
So how, from that point, did you end up
Sitting on her.
sitting on her?
When she went down on her knees
Mm-hmm.
and she was bucking and flipping in the chair and stuff, I said, Chavonne, stop. I want to get up. When I said, Chavonne, stop. I said, you're not cooperating with us. So she kept on bucking. I said, okay, I know what to do. I'll just sit here and restrain you till you decide to calm down.
There is a note in the detective's voice that indicates that she doesn't think Posey is being entirely accurate.
And that's what happened.
Okay. When you sat down, how was she positioned?
On her knees, with her face upward. She wasn't down into the plastic.
Okay.
Her head was up.
Okay.
And she said, I can't. I said, you can. I said, Chavonne, you talking to me. And I was saying, well, why'd you do this to me? She was answering me. We was having a conversation.
Uh-huh.
She was answering and bucking. I said, why you cussed I can't call her name out, the beautician. Why did you talk to her like that? I said, she's good to you. Why would you tell her you hate her? Because she's correcting you for something you did. Because she, along with me, we don't really conversate with each other, but I would pick them up from the beauty shop sometime, and she would tell me that she had to get with them about something.
Mm-hmm.
And she was saying, I said, but why'd you do that? Did you do that? Yes. That's the way she was talking.
Okay, so she's answering you. You're asking her these questions. She's
Yes.
answering you. So, you said that, and I'm going to demonstrate again.
Okay.
Just I want to make sure that I've got it clear in my
Okay.
mind how this happened. So she's on her knees, the best that you can remember. She's on her knees.
Yeah.
And what are her arms doing? Are her arms on the chair, or is she still fighting, pushing away?
Her arms, because she's behind me, her arms are probably in the chair. Because she's, that was before I sit down.
Okay,
to stop her from pushing against the pole and bucking and trying to kick us. And do the position again.
Okay, so
I think she was had her arms like this.
so she's maybe like this,
Yes.
but her head's up, and
Yes.
she's not in the plastic at this point.
No.
And you're sitting on her, right?
I sit on her about that time.
About this time is when you sit to keep her from
bucking.
doing any more. Okay. And you're at this point, you think she probably hasn't moved. Would that be safe to say? Did her arms start flaring around or anything? Did she start hitting you or anything?
No, she didn't hit me or anything. It was
Okay.
just her feet and her bucking.
She's just moving. You can feel her squirming?
Yeah, she was squirming.
Okay.
Even when I was sitting there trying to hold her down, she was
Okay.
bucking up and down. And, you know, she's on her face in the chair. And instead of just calming down so we can talk to her, she, that's her.
It would have been a frightening position for a child, and she was naturally panicking.
Remember, she's lean and she's on her knees in the chair, prayer position, and she's still bucking with her back and her butt to try to get away.
Okay. And you said you had this conversation with her. So, I mean, you were sitting there for how long would you say?
Maybe 5 or 6 minutes, I guess.
5 or 6 minutes carrying on this conversation.
And I said, well, and this keep ringing in my ears because my baby gone. I said, Chavonne, why do you do what you do? I don't know. I said, well, you don't do it with me. Why do you do it? You're my cousin. I love you. I said, booby crap, you don't love me. That's the way we were talking. It wasn't no screaming, no yelling. It's just a freak accident.
So, whenever she finally said she couldn't breathe.
That's when I moved.
Okay.
She said it 2 times. She said, Cousin Veronica can't breathe. I said, Vaughn, stop praying. You're just trying to get up from here because you can't move. You're trying to, I calmed her down so her legs had stopped bucking.
Okay.
I said, you're just trying to get up from here. So, because I'm controlling you right now. She said, no, I can't breathe. I said, oh, Javon, you're playing. Stop it, girl. So I sit there for a minute, and I got up.
Okay. And that's when you realized
that she was not moving.
Okay.
That's when I realized she was not moving.
And when all this is going on and you're sitting in the chair, were you putting all of your body weight towards the chair or
towards the end of the chair?
Towards the end of the chair?
Yeah, where her butt was.
Okay.
Not just lean. Because she couldn't, if I did that, she wouldn't be able to breathe. She wouldn't be able to move. I was just trying to control her. And I had my feet on the floor. So my complete weight was not on her.
Okay.
It was just enough to refrain her from the bucking and the way she was popping her back, like pushing against it. Because her hands was in the chair. She was pushing her body up against me. That's what she was doing.
Okay. So you're saying that you were kind of maybe not putting all of your pressure on her. So do you kind of feel like maybe you were doing like this? Like maybe a little bit of a squat or something?
Yeah, more of a squat, but not complete, like this. I'll show you how I was doing. I was like, okay, Chavonne, cut it out. Cut it out. Like that. Not complete body weight, because she couldn't take it. She's a little girl. Okay, even how heavy she was, she's still a little girl. She couldn't take all that pressure. But because she had room enough to wiggle and move around, but I had her refrain so she couldn't move.
And when this is going on, tell me where Grace is.
Grace is in a chair.
She was in her chair?
Yeah, she was sitting at the end of the couch
Okay.
in her chair.
Where is James?
He was either sitting down at the end of the table or standing up.
But he was right there watching all of it?
Yes.
Okay. Did James ever strike her with anything?
I know they struggled, but I can't remember him hitting her.
Okay.
Because, you know, I was busy trying to hold him myself, so I couldn't really pay attention to James.
Okay.
It was like, he wanted to hit her, I know, and I said, no, don't hit her.
What did he say?
He said, Chavonne, I'll punch you.
The police believed that Dericka was struck by her foster parents on a regular basis.
He said, that's why when Grace asked me to restrain them, and she gets disrespectful, like she wants to hurt me. And see, he's not well himself.
Mm-hmm.
So to keep his blood pressure down and stuff, he refrains from a lot of what's going on in the house.
Now,
So-
where was Rachel when all this is happening?
Sitting in front of the TV on the stool.
Was she saying anything?
Not really. You know, Rachel just chatty. But, what did Rachel say? Because when I was getting on Chavonne, Rachel was sitting at the stool in front of the TV, and I was asking her about her grades.
Mm-hmm.
And she was telling me she had a D, a F, and something else. I said, now, you're clowning trying to get kicked out of school so you can go to school with Chavonne. Because they don't serve hot meals at St. John Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
And Chavonne would come home and tell Rachel what she had to eat for breakfast, lunch, and they did this and they did that. And so all of a sudden, Rachel's A student status has slipped. And I didn't know anything about it. James and Grace told me while I was there today. So I hadn't really discussed the kids with them no more than her dropping by to get the clothes that I had when they were there this summer that I bought before they went home.
Mm-hmm.
And she gave me her credit card to go buy clothes because she didn't know whether the state would have placement for them or not. And I told her, I said, well, I don't want them to come and they don't have any clothes. At least have a couple of short sets and some panties or some, you know, some underwear here.
Mm-hmm.
And so when she asked me, that's how I got to see her. She was picking up Rachel, or one of them Rachel from the beauty shop.
Mm-hmm.
I said, since you're right here. She said, well, she's not on W Street no more. She moved out because the girls wouldn't pay their rent, the rent on their chair. So
Mm-hmm.
she moved out the building. She's down there across the street from your church. And I belong to Friendship Baptist. I said, oh, I didn't know she was down there. I thought their shop was closed. I say, I got the clothes. As a matter of fact, I was going to bring them to you. I said, but if you swing by here, I'll give them to you now. And I walked out. She pulled up, and I walked out to the car. And we were sitting there talking. The kids was running around, playing on the car porch and on the ground. And I guess they were there about half an hour. And that was it.
Okay. But today Rachel didn't. She was just kind of sitting there. She wasn't.
Well,
really
she was
chiming in.
saying, when I was talking to her about her grades, I said, well, you're trying to get out of school so you can go to school with Chavonne. And she didn't say anything. We was having that conversation.
Right.
And I think when Chavonne said she couldn't breathe a second time, Rachel said maybe because of Veronica she can't breathe.
Rachel was Dericka's 8-year-old sister, who was forced to watch as her sister suffocated.
And so I said, well, she's calm down. Let me move.
Mm-hmm.
That's as far as Rachel's, because, it wasn't no, you're hurting my sister and blah, blah, blah.
Okay, so she wasn't
None of
doing
that.
Okay.
No.
Is there any...
They know I wouldn't hurt them.
Okay. Is there anybody else in the house that we haven't discussed besides Chavonne, you, Rachel, Grace, and James?
No.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you can think of that I need to know about?
That's about it.
Okay. All right.
Of course, when I had my weight on her,
mm-hmm.
and she was bucking, of course I was tapping on her butt. Chavonne, quit,
mm-hmm.
quit. But it wasn't hurtful. It was just to try to calm her down.
Okay.
But none of that.
Okay.
No neck grabbing and none of that.
And I hate to ask you this question, but
go ahead.
it is kind of relevant. I know I hate when people ask me, but how much do you weigh, just about?
320, I think.
320. Okay. All right. One thing that I want to do before we leave is, whenever we have a crime scene or anything like that, we'll get samples from people for their DNA. We know that you touched her at some point. We know
Yes.
that. So I'd like to get just a quick sample from you.
Okay, no problem.
Because that way it says, yeah, that's Veronica. We already know
Okay.
that you touched her. It's real easy. It's just a Q-tip on the inside of your cheek,
Yes, no
if you're
problem.
okay with that. Okay,
No
all right.
problem.
Do you swear everything you told me was the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, all right. Let me go get that so we can work on that.
Okay. And the thing is, I'm sorry this happened. I'm so sorry. I loved her. I was trying to help her. I'm so sorry. Oh, God, I'm so sorry.
I'll be back with you in just a minute, okay?
Thank you.
Posey. Let me just read this to you real quick. This is one of our crime scene texts. She's going to do it for me.
Okay.
If you have any questions, just like last time, you just stop me and we'll go over it.
Okay.
Alright, this says you do not have to consent to a search of yourself or your property. If you do consent to a search, any evidence observed or obtained by such search can be used against you in a court of law. If you refuse to consent to such search, your refusal cannot be used against you. Unless you consent to such search, we cannot search you or your property without probable cause except upon the authority of a search warrant issued by a judge or a proper court authorizing the search. A search warrant will not be issued except upon an affidavit setting forth the facts which constitute legally sufficient probable cause for the issuance of the search warrant. You have the right to talk to a lawyer for advice before consenting to such search. If you cannot afford a lawyer, one may be appointed to advise you. This says that I've read the statement of my rights shown above, and I understand what my rights are. I do not wish to talk to a lawyer for advice. I understand and know what I'm doing. No promises or threats have been made to me, and no pressure of any kind has been used against me. And this right here would say that I consent to a search of just my DNA buccal swabs.
Okay.
Okay.
And pictures.
No, and pictures.
I have pictures today.
She would just take a photo of you, that's all.
Okay.
And
I'm going to jail.
well, right now we haven't quite figured out everything that's going on. We haven't talked to everybody,
Okay.
so
Okay.
we're still kind of trying to
Figure
figure
what's
out what
going
we've
on.
got. And if you agree to that, I just need you to sign right there. And she's going to be real quick with it. It just takes a second.
No problem.
What's your date of birth?
12/2/1952.
I'm just going to take these Q-tips. I'm going to rub them on the
Okay.
inside of your mouth. I'm going to do one on the left, one on the right, one on both. Get your thumbprint and your initials, and then just take a picture of it.
Okay, no problem.
Step in your mouth. Just want to do your right thumb.
Let me make sure.
Okay, can you just put it on there?
On
Wherever-
this?
No, you don't have to put it on the sticker, just anywhere else. Okay. And then just put your initial by it so I know that it's yours.
Oh, one thing that I didn't ask you, when Grace was hitting her with the belt, was she using the hand that's bandaged or the other hand?
Probably, I don't remember, but most likely because the other hand was bandaged, the one that was free,
Okay.
which means she doesn't have a lot of strength in that hand.
Is that her non-dominant hand? Or do you know?
She's right-handed
She's
by
right-handed.
nature.
Okay.
So, but because of her hand, she has been using her left, but it's not. It's just scribble scrabble. It's nothing.
How long has her hand been like that?
About a year, maybe.
Oh, okay.
And because at first they were running all these tests and they couldn't find out what was wrong with her. And then she told me about 6 or 7 months ago, maybe 6 months ago, that the doctor called her, one of the specialists called her and told her to go back to her primary care doctor because she had vein problems. But Grace is not particularly, now she'll take the kids all day and all night, but she won't go see her by
Not
herself.
her. Yeah. I know
So,
people like that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Posey is comfortable giving a DNA sample since she has already told the detective the part she played in Dericka's death. Veronica Posey was found guilty of murder and was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. She appealed the sentence, but the decision was upheld. That'll do it for today. If you like this video and want to support the channel, there's a Patreon link in the description below where you can do just that. Thank you for watching, and stay safe.